G'day, guys. Welcome back to Beyond This World. My name's Bailey. Today we're looking at the Joe Rogan podcast with Theo. This is only about 18 or 19 minutes worth of an excerpt of 2.5 hours of the podcast. Now, Joe Rogan in the past has been very outspoken with certain topics, into conspiracy theories, etc. However, ever since he got acquired by Spotify, he's now in the club. And Theo Von sort of prods at him about Israel and other topics, which we'll get into. Now, I've never been a massive Joe Rogan fan. I've watched Mel Gibson interviews and the Mel Gibson interviews and the Russell Crowe interviews, and a couple of Alien ET sort of extraterrestrial videos, as well as the Alex Jones sort of topics as well. So in this one with Theo Von, it really goes into Theo goes into length with Joe about certain topics which Joe in the past would have definitely got onto, but he's a lot more reserved now. I wonder why.
There's just photos of Nancy Pelosi with JFK.
That was before Israel didn't kill him.
You think so?
I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
How much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why were they?
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
What are you saying?
I didn't say anything. Well, sketchy times. I mean, the same company, that company Palantir, that was doing all that crazy stuff in Gaza, in Gaza, and they were like, running all the drones and stuff like this.
Okay, so you mean like facial recognition data?
Right.
Do they have that capability with drones, where they could just zoom around? Listen.
Okay. So
You're right. However, China's making drones.
Theo Von has officially wandered off the reservation, and Joe Rogan is not loving it. This latest episode of the JRE didn't feel like a conversation between two comedians. It felt like Theo was trying to talk about the powers that be, while Joe was desperately trying to keep everything inside Peter Thiel's Spotify-approved category. And honestly, if there's one thing this interview reminded us, it's that Joe Rogan is fully compromised. For years, fans have watched the shift happen. He used to be the guy who would question everything, but now Joe's as mainstream as CNN. This isn't Joe playing dumb so he can keep huffing smelling salts and doing his stool routine at the comedy mothership. This is Joe protecting the narrative. Anytime someone brings up Peter Thiel, Joe immediately jumps to defend him and pivots to blaming Russia or China. Epstein, Joe won't touch it anymore. Instead, he throws out the safest, most sanitized talking points imaginable. Meanwhile, Theo's out here pouring out his heart.
like now there's a lot of like billionaire files that our government protects and stuff, but back
You
then,
really think so?
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's what makes me nervous. I don't know.
I mean, they just had that thing that came out about the Trump Epstein thing the other day. That whole thing's just a kickball at this point, I feel like.
Bro, have you ever seen that video of me and Tim Dillon?
That's basically how this entire podcast goes. Every time Theo wanders into anything even remotely controversial, Joe immediately changes the subject, or he pushes back with a safe narrative. But that's the funniest part. Half the stuff Theo is bringing up is common knowledge. These aren't fringe theories anymore. They're just inconvenient truths. And yet Joe reacts like he's auditioning to be the official spokesperson for the new show. Joe Rogan questions nothing. You can literally see it on Theo's face the moment he realizes what kind of episode this is going to be. He just gives a little defeated smirk. While they're talking politics, Joe brings up JFK, and I think because Joe shut down Theo once already, Theo just goes completely off the reservation.
A lot of these Nancy Pelosi type people, they've been around since this. There's photos of Nancy Pelosi with JFK. Think of that. That was before we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
It's 1963.
That was before Israel didn't kill him.
You think so?
I didn't say anything.
I heard you say Israel killed him.
You did?
That's what I heard.
Jamie, did you put something in this?
They didn't. The glasses. They didn't do it. Oh, before Israel didn't do it. Oh, I see what you did. I think.
I didn't say anything.
I think Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
Theo slowly realizing Joe is a part of the group he's trying to talk about. Joe redirecting the convo each time Theo mentions Brazil. I always feel like Joe is trying to enlighten Theo, and Theo is just trolling him. I think that's exactly what's going on here. Joe clearly believes he's the smarter one in the room, so he tries to guide the conversation into these sponsor-safe waters anytime Theo starts drifting into the deep end. But that just exposes how compromised Joe has become, and it's not subtle anymore. For the last few years, the shift has been obvious. Joe used to be good at gatekeeping. He played the role of the useful idiot well, but now his opinions feel more like those little disclaimers YouTube puts at the bottom of videos that cover a controversial topic. Joe's views are the disclaimer. Whatever he immediately shuts down is probably what you should go look into. As the podcast keeps rolling, Theo casually mentions that he wants to start covering more news on his show. And the second he says that, Joe jumps in with this warning, which feels like it's directed at Trump and Vance. I think Joe and Theo both regret platforming them.
I feel lucky to get to talk to a lot of people. I don't think we do a lot of information type of stuff, and I wish we could do better with that sometimes. I think maybe that's a goal of mine next year, is to try to learn more stuff just in the day-to-day, so I can have conversations that are maybe more important. But then also, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do, and I'm just supposed to be just having conversations that are fun. And so,
well, it's what you're supposed to do if that's what you want to do. What I think is the only important thing
is what you want to do.
Yeah, and to be genuinely curious about whatever you're talking about.
I agree.
You know, and then hopefully be talking to someone who's telling the truth. That's where it gets weird. Now, sometimes people will be charismatic and they'll be very persuasive, but it turns out they have an agenda and they're not telling the truth. And you might not know that. That becomes a problem.
Yeah, I realize that. Some people are taking advantage of the fact that they'll come on, and I sometimes have been a little bit naive to think that somebody would do that, but people do that.
Oh, 100%. Like heads of state, you know? Like if you're going to have someone who's the president of a country that's in the middle of a war and they want to come on your podcast and talk, you're not going to get anything objective. You're going to get them selling that they're the good guys.
It's honestly hilarious and kind of sad, watching both Joe and Theo dance around the truth. You can tell they both feel like they were duped, but they refuse to say by who. They'll tiptoe right up to the edge, allude to the regret, hint at the embarrassment, but they won't actually say the words Trump or Vance. Meanwhile, Theo is trying to have a real moment. He's trying to pour his heart out and talk about things we all know are eating at him, but every time he gets close, Joe cuts him off with an unrelated story. It's crazy because Joe used to be good at controlling conversations. Now it's just embarrassing.
I just feel it's like, when does it end? Like, when is it like...
It ends when they stop making money. As long as they can figure out a way to trick you into thinking that you need something, or you know, you're not going to make any money. Did you know that tetanus? Well, you were talking about tetanus. Did you know tetanus is a bacteria?
It's tough to know who to trust. It's just tough to know where to trust things. So I think you just have
True, but there's a fact that we have had bioweapons research, and so has Russia.
I don't know. I feel
the problem was, I would say that too if I was in the middle of gain-of-function research. I'd say this stuff is nothing. Don't worry about this. What I'd really worry about is chicken pox from chickens.
Yeah. Is that the big thing now?
I don't know.
Well, dude, in our... I just don't even know. It's like, I don't know if they'd want to wipe us all out, though, because then there's nobody for these, like, dark lords to play with, I feel like.
I don't think they want to wipe us all out, but I think they want to keep us as controlled as possible, as scared as possible. You see what they did in Canada? They just shot 300 ostriches for no reason.
I wish Joe would let Theo talk more and stop interrupting him. Joe definitely got the call recently. Joe got visited at night because boy, he sure steers away from certain stuff now. And the more Joe keeps dodging certain topics and doing a terrible job at controlling the narrative, the more rogue Theo goes. A perfect example is when Joe tries to pivot the conversation by asking Theo about performing in the Middle East. Theo talks about how great it was, but then he says he was afraid for his life. But based on everything he had been saying earlier, it becomes obvious he wasn't too concerned about the people of Qatar. And Joe, of course, changes the subject immediately.
Now they're going to Qatar this
I was going to
weekend.
go.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a long-ass flight, son.
I know. I went
If
over
you go,
there.
they're going to make you put on the outfit.
I put on the outfit already once.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Were you thinking maybe I could live here if I get in trouble?
I thought they were going to take my life and not let me come back. To be honest. Not them, but you just never know in the Middle East what's going on, you know?
Yeah, what does that outfit mean?
And while they're still on the subject of the Middle East, Joe finally cracks and mentions Trump by name. But even then, the only thing Joe will allow himself to say is, yeah, it's crazy what plans Trump has for Gaza. And then he just laughs. Not because it's funny, but because he has no idea how to talk about it without stepping on a landmine. Meanwhile, Theo is sitting there looking genuinely concerned, like he's the only sane person in the room.
Trump said the wildest shit of all time. That we're going to take over, and we're going to turn it into the, what did he say, the Mediterranean of the Middle East? What the fuck are you saying? That was one of those things that made people go, wait, is he really crazy?
Right, what's going on?
How are we going to take over? How are you going to take it? It's like when he was talking about Greenland, like maybe we're going to take Greenland. Like, hey, what? Why do they want Greenland? Let's ask Perplexity.
Joe and Theo end up becoming these perfect opposite examples of how people deal with grief. Joe's version of processing anything heavy is to crack a joke, force a laugh, and pretend it's not actually happening. Theo, on the other hand, looks genuinely disturbed. He's sitting there absorbing what's being said, taking it personally, and you can see the weight of it hitting him in real time. He's not laughing because he thinks it's funny. He's laughing because he has no other way to survive the conversation. And I think both of them are bummed that they bought into this idea that this election was the most important one ever, and that this one would change everything. But now, watching everything play out, especially with the Epstein files, they realize it's all a joke and that they were duped into being part of it. But no matter how many jokes Joe cracks or how many times he tries to steer the ship into calmer water, Theo is there to touch on every topic that comes with a Wikipedia disclaimer. It's honestly the funniest part of the episode, the tension between a guy who's waking up and a guy who's doing everything he can to keep the people asleep.
Antarctica, because Antarctica's all white, so they go out there and they see things on the ground that are meteors.
Is it true they won't let us up there, or is that true? That's a myth.
No, there's places where you're not supposed to fly, but there's a bunch of reasons for that. One of them, I'm sure they're probably doing military research up there, but also, so they have restricted airspace, but also it's really dangerous. And if you crash, they won't have to rescue you. Like, there's nothing up there. Like, you will die. You know, most likely. And they don't want to have to try to die going to get you. It's sketchy going up there.
They don't care about humans' well-being. They let people climb Everest, and if they don't make it, they stay up there. I have no idea why we can't go up there either, but if someone were to ask me, I wouldn't spout off every state-sponsored safe answer there was. As the conversation goes on, Theo keeps trying to pour his heart out the way he does on his podcast. But Joe just keeps hijacking the moment with genius takes, like humanity is on its way out, which leads to Joe defending Peter Thiel, insisting he isn't an evil man.
Life is an interesting experience.
Yeah.
It really, truly is. You know, but it can be awesome and it can suck. And the reason why it's awesome is because it can suck. Like, you need them all.
Yeah.
While we're human. And I think we have only so much sand left in that hourglass. Where the humans are on the way out. I know a lot of people hate it when Peter Thiel says it. Like, Peter Thiel is a terrible person. He's evil.
Do you think he is?
No. I think he's just telling you the truth. I think he's, when they said, do you think human beings should survive? And he had like this long pause.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And then the interviewer was like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. You think human beings should, which is not how you're supposed to do an interview. Well, at least not how I do it.
I love that Joe, what am I supposed to do, push back Rogan, is actually giving a critique on someone's interviewing skills. Rogan, a man whose platform has become a megaphone for propaganda, suddenly acting like he's the arbiter of proper interviewing technique. Meanwhile, Theo is trying to talk about real-life issues, the things people actually care about. And Joe, in his infinite wisdom, goes full abstract philosopher mode. Life has to suck to be good. And it can be good because it sucks. Then somehow he manages to slip in his ultimate take. Humans are on their way out. And not only that, the guy actively contributing to that trajectory, not a terrible person. You can tell Theo is getting tired of it, so he just starts trolling Joe.
Yeah, how much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why are they...
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
What are you saying?
I didn't say anything.
What are you saying?
Huh? Talking about Israel Adesanya.
Oh, well, he loves you. Don't worry about it.
Good call.
What are you saying, son?
Yeah,
So
was it so
what did
much
he
fun?
say? What did he say about the Epstein files?
What's hilarious is that Theo gives up and goes on a mission to expose Rogan, and Joe's vibe is like, come on man, that Spotify money is nice. What are you trying to do to me here? As the podcast goes on, Theo addresses the clip of him the government used in an ICE ad, which coincidentally happened around the same time as Charlie Kirk, so Theo took it as a veiled threat. He tries to get into it multiple times, but every single time, Joe shuts it down and changes the topic.
You were just joking around because you were talking to a guy who's his friend. And this was quite a while ago, too, right? When was that video?
Yeah, I don't know. I it could have been like a year and a half ago or something. I don't remember. But that was crazy.
But it was
like,
it was a joke,
yeah,
right?
She's like a friend. I don't know if she said a friend of mine got deported. I can't remember what she said. But she's like, what? Do you have anything to say to him, right? And I was like, bye. You know?
Yeah.
I'm clowning around. I have no idea if it's real or not. I have no idea.
You have no idea. It's literally someone just handed you a phone. And then Homeland Security, was that what it was?
Yeah, just put it up online. And it was
Was it
after that
Homeland
Charlie
Security?
Kirk thing. Yeah. And so then I was like super scared, you remember? Remember, I was texting like you. I was just texting people to make sure everybody's okay. I didn't know if they were like just going to kill people that had been on TikTok or whatever. I had no idea what they were going to do.
I just can't believe they did that with you, where they just put it in there as if like you were endorsing that.
Well, it just kind of, and it was just a scary time. That was the same time as
Who
after the Charlie Kirk thing.
that? Who greenlit that?
Probably just some fucking trap beat
But you know
con
what I'm
artist
saying?
or whatever.
Like if a company did that, you could sue them. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was privatized.
Theo was genuinely scared after Charlie Kirk. He clearly suspects the same entities responsible for that might not be thrilled with some of the things he said on his podcast. He was so concerned he didn't even feel safe at the doctor's office. But every time he tries to actually address it, Joe changes the subject. It's frustrating to watch. Theo wants to have an honest discussion, and Joe keeps steering the dialogue.
But yeah, that was scary, man. Because then I got because there was just like a lot of threats, and then things got like then it was just kind of that made me kind of paranoid. And then my mom was visiting, and we went to the doctor. I went to the doctor, I was just getting something looked at or something, you know. And I was in the doctor's office, and there was a nurse asking me questions or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, I have something for you. I was like, huh? And she's like, oh, I brought you something. Can I give it to you? And I was like, I'm at a doctor's office, like something she'd made, something, I don't know.
For you?
Yes.
Oh, she's a fan?
Something. And normally I think it might have been like, okay, let me, like, but I was just like, it was such a weird time. And my mom was visiting, and it was like, after the Charlie Kirk thing, it was just super scary. You just didn't know what was going on. Like, watching that guy get killed was crazy. Like, it was, and...
You know what's crazy to me is the way people reacted. Oh, that scared me just as much as watching him get shot.
Well, yeah, and let me think about that in just a second. I'm just thinking through the end of this, if you don't mind, real quick. Sorry, I know you're not interrupting.
No, no worries.
Like, Joe's getting really sloppy with pushing a narrative. Theo brings up how Larry Ellison just bought 1/6 of America's news media. And Joe's just like, well, who knows how he's going to run his company? We'll have to wait and see. But you know who's being real sticklers? It's the darn Chinese and the bots.
No, I'm not saying that Larry Ellison's company is going to do a great job of being totally objective and letting people criticize Israel, letting people criticize Hamas. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see. It'd be crazy to say.
I don't know. I never met that guy. I don't know anything about that.
It'd be crazy for me to say any differently. But it's not safe to have a foreign country that is actively trying to fuck with the way people have discourse in America, which is certainly what China's doing. They do it on X. So Chinese bots, they swarm X, and there was a former FBI analyst, we read this article 100 times, his estimation, this is right around the time Elon was buying Twitter, that it could be as much as 80% bots.
It's hilarious watching Rogan age in real time. He's officially past his uncle who lifts weights and says wild stuff at barbecues era, and he's going full steam into the boomer beliefs phase. And the funniest part is, I think Joe genuinely believes he's being smooth about it. Theo will bring up something real, something that people want to hear about, and Joe goes straight into China bad. It's like a reflex at this point. Like he thinks he's doing some CIA Bill Hicks level sleight of hand. And finally you can see Theo hit that point. The alright, enough dancing around. He just lets it out there. Let's call out Palantir on some truly devious stuff and see how Joe reacts.
It's sketchy times.
Well, it's sketchy times. I mean, the same company, that company Palantir, that was doing all that crazy stuff in Gaza, in Gaza, and they were like, you know, running all the drones and stuff like this, allegedly.
What are you talking about? What are you saying they did?
That they had, like, were compiling data on people that were there, and they were operating a lot of the drones in the sky that also had weapons attached to them.
Okay, so you mean like facial recognition data?
Right.
Do they have that capability with drones? Where they could just zoom around? Is this horseshit? It's real? Jamie's not even willing to talk on camera. He's just
Oh shit! So that's the amount of level of censorship that Joe's under. That his own worker doesn't even want to speak out. That it's like, oh yeah, he's right. And then Joe's like, oh shit, I've got to defend this. It's just unbelievably funny, and just yeah, you can just tell how much Joe has changed.
I'll be quiet, Dan.
I'm sure they do.
We have a
No.
They got a
Listen.
big contract in America now, which is scary to me. That's what's scary to me. That a drone could go by. That maybe that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. Who knows? Maybe a drone. You just have no who you can even point the finger at. A bullet comes out of the middle of nowhere.
True.
That's the kind of. I'm not saying I'm paranoid about it all the time. I'm just saying I have.
Listen.
Okay. Sorry.
You're right. However, China's making drones.
Joe, what am I supposed to do? Push back Rogan, actually pushing back for once in his life. But of course he doesn't do it to a politician or a billionaire who thinks human life will be replaced. He does it to Theo, the only guy in the room who's actually trying to have a real conversation. And the wild part, Joe only pushes back to defend his neocon buddy's reputation. He goes from question everything to, hey man, let's not be unfair with my billionaire friends real quick. In the funniest and saddest moment of the whole episode, Joe turns to Jamie and asks, completely seriously, do you know if it's possible to put cameras on drones and have them zoom around? And you can see it on Theo's face. He's just defeated. Like he finally realizes that the Joe Rogan experience has become a parody of itself. the biggest podcast in the world reduced to billionaire PR.
I don't know if it is truly that they're mostly killing women and children,
Yeah.
or if a good percentage of them have actually been Hamas agents. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the
Because that's
scary.
what Israel says, right? They say that a lot of them were Hamas.
Yeah, there's like 2-year-old Hamas agents they were finding and shooting. Which, who knows? I don't know, who knows?
Well, I bet they probably think about them as future,
There's a lot of
especially
smart
now
kids.
when you've blown up their fucking city. I mean, how many, if there were terrorists there, how many are created by watching something like that happen? Quite a bit.
Well, the thing for me, I just thought like that America would come help at some point. That was the scary. I think that's when I just thought like, oh, I just have a different concept of what's going on. Or also, these are just my thoughts. I don't know what's going on. And I don't need anybody to believe my thoughts or think the same way I do. I think the thing that made me nervous was that same company, Palantir, got a deal in America to create a database and help with like surveillance and stuff. So that just makes me scared, and made me a little bit nervous. Not scared, but just like a little bit like, what's going on here? Are we going to enter a surveillance state,
That's all I got.
Yeah, there you go, guys. So it's that's all she wrote, for the Joe Rogan show. I mean, it's pretty much over, and Theo Von's just learnt the hard way, unfortunately, and he just got gaslit, he got railroaded, he got interrupted, he got thrown off any sort of open dialogue about what's happening with Palantir, Israel, people that own massive corporations and multinational companies in and out of America, globally. And yeah, he's just been derailed by Joe Rogan, who back in March of 2025 got done for anti-Semitism. So, I think Joe's just been put back in his box and just told to shut up. He's been paid this Spotify money. He's got Peter Thiel in his back pocket. Unfortunately, I think that's what's happening. But what do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe. If you want more content like this, I'll definitely be doing some more. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one.